The Trades Union Congress has rejected government's proposal to restructure pension funds. The Finance Ministry had written to trustees of pension funds inviting them to participate in what it calls an alternative proposed offer. Government is proposing a 5% coupon in 2023 and 2024. The ministry says the participation of the pension funds is needed so the government can comply with cash constraints. But speaking to JoyNews, Deputy Secretary General of the TUC, Joshua, says Labour will not allow their pension funds to participate.
We have not looked inside our own country and checked what can we do to overcome these challenges. But because there's something that is easy way to go, like the workers' pensions, I think government is focusing too much on the government pensions. And even I'm saying it this evening and saying it again, that Labour will not, I want to repeat, Labour will not do anything contrary to the agreement signed between us and the government on our pensions. Because already pensions is inadequate in this country, and it is our blood. If I tell you how much somebody gets when it goes on pension, it will marvel you. And we think that if we have not been able to do anything for our members, we must secure their future for them.
Yeah.
So that they will also be beneficiaries of their services that they have rendered to this very country. Whether it is an alternative or whatever, we can look at other alternatives, but not the pension funds. We also have our research department. We also have people, at least amongst us, who knows much about this debt exchange issues. And like I said this afternoon, Evans, we are going to meet. We have a meeting on Thursday for us to make our decision and position known to the government and known to the whole country and the whole world. But beforehand, I want to insist and state categorically that if it is an attempt to touch our pensions, I don't think it's going to be. Consider other alternatives and the other proposals that we actually tabled during the conversation. Government must look there and ensure that we raise funds over there, but not to touch our pensions fund.
200 homes have been disconnected in Dambai in the ongoing ECG revenue mobilization exercise. The disconnection has retrieved 780,000 Ghana cedis in that community alone in the Volta region. The ECG is seeking to retrieve a total of 5.7 billion cedis in debt owed by customers. We will be telling you more about the disconnection in the Volta region. But in the meantime, here is a wrap of what happened in Accra yesterday. We saw the Accra Digital Center, which houses the passport office and other national IT installations taken off the national grid following the entity's 600,000 cedis indebtedness to the ECG.
Today, the Accra West Region of the Electricity Company of Ghana has decided to embark on a revenue mobilization drive as I started earlier nationwide. Today the focus is on the Accra West region, where they are targeting some both public and private institutions that have been owing the ECG in debt. The exercise started from Farmer Ghana in the industrial area, where the team visited and had some chit chat with managers of the company. From there they came to the Accra Digital Center. Fred Bambil is the PRO for the ECG Accra West Region. You've gone in there and you are out. What has the discussion been so far?
Unfortunately, there's a place that owes us. We've been having conversations for the past few weeks, but they haven't yielded the results we wanted. So we are going to go ahead to resort to what usually is our last resort when it comes to our revenue mobilization activities. That means we are going to disconnect them, and probably they'll be uncomfortable till they're able to make payments and then redeem the debts they owe us.
Do we know what the figures are? And when you went in there, what was their position this morning when you came again?
Well, I mean, it's they were pleading. But like I say, these are conversations we've been having for a period. For this exercise alone, it's been on for the past 1 month. So you can imagine that various stakeholders and various companies that owe us have been having certain conversations with us. But if these conversations are not yielding any fruitful results for us, then it means at a point like this, such a thing has to happen. So as a company that sells electricity, usually we like to disconnect as a last resort, because once you're not using the power, it means you're not paying for it. So we sometimes hold on with the disconnection and try to engage to see if it will yield any fruitful results. But unfortunately for us, this didn't work out. So we are going to go ahead and disconnect.
From the Accra Digital Center, the team proceeded to Airtel Tigo, where the ECG says the company owes them. After a prolonged negotiation between managers of ECG and the telecom operator, the two parties agreed that Airtel Tigo makes settlement of 1 million Ghana cedis. The ECG then left behind part of the team to make sure that the payments goes through. PRO for the Accra West Region, Fred Bambil, later indicated to the team that Airtel Tigo has actually made the payment, but Airtel Tigo is disputing owing ECG and making any payment to that effect. As we speak now, we are currently at the Accra Breweries Limited, where we have also been told, have been very prompt in their payment. And so as we speak, the Accra Breweries Limited do not owe the ECG any money in debt as far as their bills are concerned. From the Accra Brewery Limited, the team proceeded to Franco Estate, where they have uncovered illegal connection to 4 apartments in the estate. Mr. Emmanuel Akini is general manager for the ECG Accra West Region.
It is clear that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there could be more. You can see illegal connection, direct connection without meters. They've all been disconnected, and we may have to search them and possibly prosecute them.
What was the peculiar issue with the digital center as well as Airtel?
They were owing, and because they couldn't pay, we had to disconnect them.
The two of them?
Digital center, yes.
So, what was the situation with Airtel Tigo?
They've made payment. When we visited them, they made payment.
After you have visited them?
Yes, please.
That some 1 million Ghana cedis is what Airtel Tigo has paid to the ECG Accra West Region as settlement of their debt. Reporting for JoyNews, my name is James Kwesi Aveji.
We can now speak with the Volta Region PRO of the ECG, Benjamin Obing, entry for more with regards to this connection exercise in Dambai. I'm grateful for your time. Tell us more about these 200 customers who have been taking off. How much do they owe?
Thank you very much, Aisha, and a very good morning to your cherished viewers who are all our cherished customers. Well, it is indeed true that since this exercise began in the Dambai district of ECG Volta Region, we have disconnected about 200 customers, and then these customers were owing something like 80,000 Ghana cedis. But after the disconnection exercise, these customers have responded positively. Some of them have visited our offices to make payments, others are also using payment platforms, and as we speak, we have received close to 1.2 million Ghana cedis in the Dambai district of ECG. When you come to ECG in the Volta region, we have 11 districts, and the Dambai district is just one of those districts. Though Dambai is politically situated in the Volta region, it needs to be administratively. Dambai district is part of the Volta region. So we oversee 11 districts, and Dambai district is one of them. So far, we have received close to 1.2 million Ghana cedis since this exercise began for customers in Dambai district. Our team has visited various areas within the Dambai district like Katanga, Dramani, and even the Dambai township. And what we noticed is that these are slightly rural areas or areas that you would not expect a customer to owe more than 1,000 Ghana cedis. So when you see a customer owing about 2,000 Ghana cedis, it's worrisome. Because as we always say, we don't take delight in disconnecting customers. But for test customers, you realize even if they owe 1,000 Ghana cedis, it's difficult for them to pay. So what we normally do is that we engage in that, please, something, let us control power supply to the end at the moment, and then sit down with the restructure your debt point, give you a debt schedule plan or a payment plan so that you finish paying before we connect you. Because let's say last month the person was paying 1,000 Ghana. You didn't disconnect, the person used the for this month to be around 1,002 or 1,003. The debt profile will be increasing. The person will be accruing more debt. So we have to engage them, and some of them understood why we have to do this.
Is Dambai the only community in the Volta region the ECG has visited?
No, please, like I said, Dambai is one of 11 districts in the Volta region. So Dambai is a district on its own. We have Ilo district, we have Surakope district, we have O district, we have Akati district. And even if you come to the whole district, for example, yesterday, the whole technical industry has settled its indebtedness of over 800,000 Ghana cedis to the ECG. They have the University of Health and Allied Science, what we refer to as UHA. They have also settled their indebtedness of over 1.4 million Ghana cedis to the ECG as well. Then in the whole region, you have the Ghana Water Company, owing ECG 17.5 million Ghana cedis. They have facilities or pumping stations are dotted across our districts like Febe district, Akati district, Keta district, Ohwe district, and then they've made payment of 2 million Ghana cedis out of the 17.5 million Ghana cedis that they owe. Then there are some facilities like the Sugar Bakery, so they have also settled their indebtedness to ECG as well. Then you can look at the in vitro lab as plant producing company in Sugar district. They have also settled their indebtedness. But currently, a factory known as Volta Forest in Ohwe district is still under disconnection for owing ECG over 950,000 Ghana. But then we've been disconnected them before the exercise began, and since the exercise began, we've been trying to engage them to make payment, but we've not received any positive feedback from their end. So as we speak, they are still under disconnection.
So what's next for the team in the region?
In the region, well, we are not relenting on our efforts, despite receiving close to 35 million Ghana cedis since this exercise began. We will keep pressing high and on our customers, because like we say, we don't take delight in disconnecting customers. So if you look in the Volta, what we are doing more is revenue mobilization, not market disconnection. We are engaging customers because we believe that once we sell power to you, if you consume, that's when we get money. But if you don't consume, then we'll be making losses from unreserved power. So we want you to consume so that we'll get more power. So when we go there and you offer us a payment to it, maybe I owe you 200,000 today, I'll pay 150,000 today and pay 3,000 by the end of the week. Definitely we'll understand and then spare you any sort of disconnection. But when we get there and then we don't receive any positive feedback, that is where the disconnection happens. So as we speak, all the teams are understood simultaneously across the 11 districts. The operations have been positive so far. Customers have lauded us for this initiative. Customers have also supported us. And then we must commend some customers like ECG Bank, Sky Plus Hotel, Stevens Hotel, the NCA. These agencies never owe ECG in the Volta Region. They always pay their current bill. Even when we give them their March bill somewhere last week, they settled it the following 2 days. And I think this deserves commendation. And also we would like to commend UHAS as well as that whole technical university for settling their indebtedness to the ECG. This is a patriotic act that we would like all institutions and customers to emulate, because ECG, the revenue that we are gathering is what we are going to use to keep the electricity supply chain running by paying the power producers, the transmitter, so then all of us will enjoy stable power supply. Because in ECG in the Volta region, there are so many projects ongoing, so we want to complete all these projects and initiate new ones to provide stable power supply.
And definitely that's why your customers must actually settle their debts. I'm grateful for your time, Benjamin, of being here. He is the PRO for the Volta Region ECG, Managing Director of the ECG, Samuel Mahama, however, is optimistic the finances of the company will be greatly enhanced if power sold is collected. He's been speaking exclusively to JoyNews.
We can say we've collected in excess of 2 billion, and we know that this is the final week. This final week, we are pushing very hard. Our intention is to say that, look, we've had a month long. We've been patient for 3 weeks now. This is the last week. There are no longer any more excuses. It's okay. Just pay up so that the company can be made whole. Our intention is to do our best to make sure that we retrieve enough of the revenue so we can build a better company. Our intention is to make sure that we do it right for there to be enough meters for all our customers to benefit from it. So that's the plan that we are on now.
You set out to retrieve some 5.7 billion cedis. You say you are somewhere over 2 billion. You'll be wrapping up this weekend, right? What confidence do you have that you'll be able to meet that 5 billion debt that you were chasing?
So, in truth, this is not an exercise that you think you'd be able to finish. No, you can't. But within this short period, we intend to recover enough of it and then now launch a proper and systematic process to continuously close that gap as quickly as possible. There's a possibility that we might even start selling the debt to private institutions to go and collect. It's something that we are thinking about considering, because we are getting to the point where we need all the help that we could get. So if it means discounting it to the necessary company and then getting what we need, yes, why not? So it's something on the table worth considering. So our plan is we'll get as much as we can, and after that we'll sit down, do an assessment of ourselves, and then plan what we are going to do next. Yeah.
But we also understand that the debt that people owe you is lesser than what you owe the IPPs and or the people who help you out in your operations. How do you explain that, and how are you going to deal with that?
So that's a great point. Now, if you are not collecting enough, then what's your story? If it's even less in CD-wise, collect enough so you can shift the burden onto somebody else's doorstep. You understand? So let's say, for example, if the CD to the dollar was 1:1 and we're collecting 100 million, we are apples to apples in terms, but you don't have that in the perfect world that you are in now. So what are you going to do about it? That just collect enough, make sure your collections number and the rate is high enough, and then now you can ask to be given a seat in the room to discuss the way forward on the differences. So as for that one, I'll say when we get to that bridge with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Energy, we'll definitely cross it. But for now, we have to do what we have to do on our side as a company, and we also entreat the individuals and companies that purchase our product to know that we are at a point where you have to pay for what you have consumed. That's the whole conversation.
But how does the lay mind understand this gap? The gap between what you owe and how much people owe you?
So the gap is clear, because what we owe is in dollars and what we collect in cedis. You understand? So that's a whole tariff conversation about how to close the gap as quickly as possible. Maybe PURC has to start looking at leaving maybe some 2 or 3 or 4 pesos in there for us to close the gap on the CD to dollar ratio, or PURC has to adjust the forex bandwidth. It's all a conversation to be had. But at the end of the day, as a company, I choose to always drop the problem at the doorstep of ECG. If you're supposed to collect 100 and you collect the entire 100 and it's not enough, then you can ask for help. But currently you're supposed to collect 100 and you are not collecting the 100. So how do you even say that it's not enough? You understand? So it's a moral obligation thing for the company ECG to do its best to collect enough, and so it can now provoke the conversation of the gap that is left. Yes.
So is it that we're not paying realistic tariffs and that's why there's that gap?
By and large, yes, because it's not a cost-reflective tariff, because government subsidizes or attempts to subsidize on behalf of the good people of Ghana. But maybe that's a conversation for the future where we have to reconsider and say we have to pay realistic tariffs. So you know what, scrap all of this and then let's apply it, and then maybe every month, per how the forex is moving, we adjust just like the fuel. You understand? If we do that, yes, you can say we are. So that would mean that every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, tariff adjustment. But in the long run, these are all things that we have to look at as a nation going forward.
So today, the Accra Digital Center was cut off because of the debts they owe. After Friday, if these institutions are not able to pay, what happens?
So that's another conversation to be had, but for now, I'd rather not think beyond Friday, but I'll think from now to Friday, because I'm expecting everybody to do what is right. Whether you have to find the money, whether you have to borrow, please go ahead, do that, and let's close the gap as quickly as possible. After that, we can revisit the conversations on a case-by-case basis.
When we heard the story earlier, Airtel Tigo called that they didn't owe, they had paid, but it was a mishap on the part of ECG. How do you explain that?
You see, at every given point in time, everybody finds it convenient to lay the problem at someone else's doorstep. Did you ask them when they paid? You understand? Before they, so you can't just say when it happened, we came to check and we've paid already. When did you pay? You understand? I don't like bantering with people, or I don't want to start a problem where it will look like you're actually, in all my deliberations, I do my best not to even mention company names because it's not necessary. You understand? Because if they want to go on that tangent, my other question would be, why do you even have to owe in the first place? You understand? It's a line item on your budget. So let's do our best to shy away from name calling and name mention. At the right time, if we have to do name and shame, we will do the name and shame. But for now, let's see it as a holistic approach. Let's do our best and let's push forward and make sure that we close the gap as quickly as possible.
So what should people expect after Friday?
What people should expect after Friday is that the next phase will be looking targeting mostly the illegal connections and making sure that all of those things are tackled and tackled well. We should note that an illegal collection is you stealing, because it's not that you have a bucket somewhere and you're collecting the electricity into it. After you've bypassed that, when I come for it, you can take the bucket and give it to me that here's your electricity. But rather, you've stolen. And if you've stolen, you have to be charged with stealing. So everybody should consider this a head start to correct all what they've done, because when we are coming with the full might of the law, even with the necessary protection for us to make sure that that gap is closed as quickly as possible. Now then, with our standing debt, as I said earlier, conversations are far advanced to find a way to, if we have to sell the debt to generate revenue, we'll definitely sell the debt to generate revenue. We have to be innovative and find a way to see how to get private sector to assist us to close this gap as quickly as possible.
In the face of mounting criticism over recent losses at the produce buying company PBC, the Deputy CEO in charge of finance at the company, Vivian Boydi, is defending management. In our latest hotline documentary, PBC Troubles, JoyNews' investigative desk showed the steep decline in PBC's market share from 30.88% in 2016 to 8% in 2021. According to Madam Boydi, the management team cannot be solely blamed for the company's recent financial struggles. Public Affairs Manager of Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, says they are deeply concerned about PBC's fall.
But for the intervention, the situation of PBC would have been worse. However, we are at a stage where the need for us to intervene, because we believe that we have, even though we have about 65 license buying companies, PBC is one of the key license buying companies we do business with. So if there's any reason for us to intervene and ensure that PBC is able to stay and work, then the board will be prepared to do so. And that's precisely what we are working on. PBC is a very important LBC to us. So any effort to help PBC stabilize is one we are very much concerned and prepared to do. So yes, we are looking at our own financial situation and how best to position ourselves such that we are able to deal with our responsibilities. Seed fund is one of the things we do or give out to support the LBCs and their operations. So in as much as we continue to give seed funds to LBCs, PBC will surely have that priority as we help in stabilizing the organization. The wish would have been that PBC will have other means of supporting the activities, because for a license buying company, the expectation is that the license buying company will be able to raise some finances aside Cocoa Board. But in the situation they find themselves, of course, we also acknowledge that that is a challenge they have. And what is important for us to do at this point is to ensure that PBC stays afloat and is able to perform its responsibilities.
Well, her position is being disputed by former CEO of PBC, Nana Boateng, who joins us live right now. Good morning. I'm grateful for your time, sir. If what Ms. Vivian is saying is not the true picture, what then is a true position?
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. This morning, I was called to listen to JoyNews AM show. I was the acting chief executive and handed over in 2017 and moved the president, Nana Dankwa, transferred me to CPC. And so I was very disturbed about Vivian giving that distortion. She was in that year deputy audit manager and was promoted to DCFNA. So in reality, if he's not got the facts, it would have been prudent that he gets the facts right. When we handed over in 2016, we did hand over to amendment team, which then he was not a member of the amendment team. So I was just thinking that he'll get the facts right and speak to it. And that's why I thought that it is prudent that I call in to set the record straight.
We all agree that in 2016, the company was doing very well compared to what has happened right now. From where you sit, having worked before at that company, what could be accounting for the decline?
They themselves can explain better because in 2018-19, Mr. Fifi Boafo himself will attest to it that the same thing that from the 2013 yesterday that she was talking about, we maintain a consistent 2013-14 till 2016-17 from 32 to 30.8%. In the 2017 that we were living, that I was transferred in September 2017, we had already secured the guarantees and everything. So in that 2017-18, they made up with 23%. The following year that they had to handle it on their own, they dropped to 17%, and that's why they are dropping and dropping. The issue is that, what is it that has gone wrong for them? As P.V. Boafo alluded, CPC is a strategic, PBC is a strategic, and it's not for nothing that the government itself placed it in that position as a buyer of last resort. And that's how we had 106 depots and buying centers. For whatever reason now, we left a balance, which is a debt, of in our books on my handing over of 289 million. That 289 million was 42.5 million for the Golden Bean Hotel, 50.2 million for PBC Bupe share, 10.5 rehabilitating this, our office. We purchased 20 new articulators and 20 tractors. So the only outstanding debt was 80 million. So now, what is it that, let them say that, what have they added on to this debt, which is now in their position? My sister, if you have an institution at Bupe, as the gentleman was talking about, where you have 200 tons production a day, giving yourself at 80% capacity, it gives you 160 tons. Working for 330 days is 52,800. When you do the share extraction, you get 48%. So that will be 25,344. At $1,400 is $35 million. At even 11 cedis, it is equivalent to 494,000 tons buyer's margin they will get for cocoa. What is it that has come that they've abandoned that structure? Today, go to their office today. If you can send somebody to the office, even the furniture and their curtains there, they've not even been able to replace. Yesterday, I was telling Kojo on the JoyNews that they were able to make a profit. In the cocoa buyer's margin, asking her again, the buyer's margin is a composition of primary evacuation and everything. Did you hear some of the district managers talking about it, that they themselves have to handle the primary evacuation? These all cost centers, they are not paying. That is the reason why it is in this. You know, seriously, I didn't want to come in there but the way that she was alluding that it is an inherent problem, that's why I thought that I need to clear the air, because they have to handle their own issues. What is it that brought them in when the whole workers in 2019 made a big demonstration that called for the president to dismiss the former managing director and the former FMA? You see, I don't want to go into detail, but I just wanted to clarify these issues that they themselves have got into this mess. The better they get it right, it is good for them than to get into these politicking. We are here only to let the government know that it is a big institution that needs to be addressed. And since 2000, that the government, we decided to do the restructure of the licensed buying companies. This has been the position. So every management that has come has tried to work on something. Like this morning, my brother was asking the Club 100. We did a back-to-back, 29, 2010. We were first, second. And that's how, at a point in time, we saw that we got some money and made some dividend to the government. And so we said that, why don't we look into diversification? You have a guest room of a 7-room guest room at Aisha, which is only 200 meters to this place. Why don't you add up? Before Cocoa Board in 1977, restructured Ghana Cocoa Marketing Board, PBC was the only institution into all this buying of cocoa, share, and coffee. And that's why we went back. It was President Kufuor's time, which was followed by the NDC time. And that's how we set up this institution. You have an institution of a 16-acre land, which can bring you $35 million, and you sit down and you collapse it. And now look at how they showed there, as the gentleman was saying. What is it that, I'm just saying that I wanted to just come in to let them sort themselves out and stop the distortion that they are doing.
So from 30.88% to 8% is a steep decline. What would you recommend at this point for the company to actually bounce back?
I'm sorry, I am not in charge now, but I am only addressing the issue. But the challenge, as I'm saying, which Fifi Boafo alluded, Fifi Boafo himself should go into the press release he gave out in 2018, when the same management, when they had money and they were not using it for the purpose and had to let Cocoa Board come in because everybody was bashing Cocoa Board that PBC has bought cocoa and is not paying for the farmers. And they have to come with a press release that they've given PBC enough money, so they don't understand why they are doing that. So the question is, what is it that they are not doing right? And that's how they have to look up to it. Sister, as the gentleman was saying, we did the structure in a way that the PBC share, just like we are into the internal marketing of cocoa, the same structure was done in the share sector. So we had the PBC share company buying the share not from all the agencies and doing the transfer pricing to the PBC Bupe. So in the transfer cost pricing, you sell the share not to them at $400 and they also process at $1,000. So this is how it was working. Yesterday you saw the articulator that has been back there for that number of years. When you go to Bupe, you can ask Jinapo and all of them. The place that was just bustling like that, giving jobs to everybody. And now, look at what the video is there. What is it that is not right? That you have a 16-acre land which can give you a revenue which is commensurate to 494,000 tons cocoa and you've abandoned it. We did an internal structure of buying now in the cocoa sector. If you ask Fifi Buff, he will tell you all these foreign companies are into this purchases of, that is what we call it, the net market. We introduced it first. They've abandoned that institution. You can call them and they will ask. Because that one, you have it, that you have extra money. All these institutions, they've abandoned order for whatever reason that is up to them. And this is what, as I'm saying, they themselves should look up to it and ask what is wrong. You then, see where the deputy audit manager and came in 2021. So what handing over was given in 2016, if you care to know, I can bring it, it's like a double of a Bible that we handed over to them, detailed everything. And that's what I'm explaining. That debt of 289 million was a structure of 42.5 at Golden Bean. And we, in our cash flow, we said that in 4 years, Golden Bean will be able to make truly in 2018. Ask her, didn't they go to Golden Bean to take salary to pay their workers? In the same 2018-19, didn't they go to Bupe to collect money? Because that was how the cash flow was. Why have they abandoned it?
So there are questions about the funding for the hotel and the Bupe construction. How was it funded?
Yes, so that's what I'm saying, that in the course of our activity, we decided that in the 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, we saw that we cannot rely on a product where you only look at the weather. So we said, okay, can we do diversification? And that is how the produce buying company was changed to PBC Limited, so that we can get into all these activities. So we discussed with the banks and told them that we don't have money. So they said, okay, we can run with them on the overdraft into this activity and pay. So that is how we structured it. So for instance, if you go to the secondary evacuation, under the laws of this country, which is PNDC Law 81, Ghana Cocoa Board 1984, it's like we are into internal marketing and the secondary evacuation is by private hauliers. So all these monies are paid by Cocoa Board. And this is what we said, okay, can we also get into this? And that's how we invested in 200 articulators. So that just like the Nigerian boys, we evacuate the cocoa from a district to Tema and get some revenue, we can also do that. So we did that with SSB. So the checks are written in the joint name of PBC, SSB, and they take that money. Okay, again, we came up to this Golden Bean, which was a 7-room guest house on a 2-acre land. And then we looked at it and said, okay, it's 10 meters away from Ahojo Runabout, 50 meters from Rich Police Station, 200 meters from Tulip. And they were giving businesses to this small institution, and that's how we got in. We took it to the board, ADM, and they approved it. That is how we got in. And the cash flow was that in 4 years it will be paid, so 2014 to 2018. And the banks, EcoBank, Societe, and they all agreed. So every year The money that Cocoa Board gives us plus the overdraft is what we were using to fund this thing and paying from our revenues.
I'm grateful for your time, Nana Boateng. He's former CEO of PBC. Meanwhile, Deputy CEO in charge of finance at the company, Vivian Boidi, says the management team is actively working to turn the company's fortunes around.
That comes along with it. Now, we could still maintain the same system and, however, have an improved version of what we are doing now to give us better results than what we have now. Because we rely solely on Cocoa Board Seed Fund, anytime there are hitches or there are issues, definitely would also run into cash flow problems. And I believe that is what happened last year, because if you check the previous year, 2019-2020, we were able to pay our salaries throughout the whole year. It was only in 2022 that we had the 3-month gap because we were expecting a certain amount from Cocoa Board. We didn't get that amount from Cocoa Board. So we were not able to do the sort of operations we intended to do. So it's not, we could have an improved system of what we are having now, and the system will still work. However, PBC itself has to work on itself. So it's not just looking at the financial restructuring. We also have to look at the operational restructuring of the company. And that is what management is currently tackling now. How to get the turnaround faster, be able to go back to Cocoa Board and get the seed fund and go back to the market. And that is what we are working on. We also have to look at the staff side of it. So PBC is currently going through some phase of restructuring to be able to stay profitable and be able to reverse the negative trend on our balance sheet and so resume our normal operation.
Away from the PVC troubles, President John Dramani Mahama has ended his 2-day tour of the Volta Region with a call on delegates to select the best candidates for the parliamentary elections and unite for 2024. According to the former president, he's sure to lead the NDC into the 2024 elections. However, how the party handles the aftermath of May 13 primaries is paramount to winning the general elections. The former president was addressing branch and constituency executives in the Akan constituency. Correspondent Peter Seno has more.
The 2-day tour of the region began at Lekpe Mate in the yet-to-be-created constituency in the Gwan district. The tour took the former president to Buem, Biakuye, Krachi East and West constituencies for day 1. Day 2 of the tour took the former president to Krachi Nchumuru, Nkwantan North and South, and finally, the Akan constituency. His message to the delegates is to give him the maximum approval on May 13, where delegates elect parliamentary candidates and a flag bearer for the 2024 general and parliamentary elections.
KJB constituency Mundi mi Huamboda 2019 me baha and I'm share me bo. What's the President Mahama? You more than 90% of the vote. I'm passing Bosha Moshe no. Mudi so pepe. Enti me ba ya chairman ejina manamu. Aka say 1.something% e yira ya no. Ma ko hwehwe no mo hu. Enti mo de beka ho. Enti mo de ka ho a e be 99.99999%.
He has also called for unity in the party regardless of whoever wins the mandate of the delegates on May 13.
Yanya young town for Nipa or your opponent any MPP for. Enti ye say Nipa na yenina enta Nipa nechi. Every say senya ye babwa say Nipa no amane timi edin kunim no sa na eduru yan so a
his message to the delegate was not without a swipe at the ruling NPP.
Ghana ye NDC so no. Yedema Nana Akufo-Addo no. Sa Ghana ninye. Abra ye NDC wa be mu a ye hwe Ghana so. Na ye ho toye. Menka se na bibia ye nso na ye ho toye.
He has accused them for excessive borrowing without any valuables to show for it.
nso omo kwa omo baye omo borrow more than 470 billion cedis. Now busasa sasike nyina eden na mode ye omo tumi nkyere ho empotro bi ani baby a ombetimi akyere ho.
In the Akan constituency, 2 interested persons are contesting the incumbent, Engineer Yao Gomado. May 13 will decide. Peter Sanu for JoyNews.
Constituents of Kumewu in the Ashanti region have described a renewed drive to construct roads in the area as a desperate attempt by the NPP to win the upcoming by-elections. The government failed to fulfill a 2019 promise to construct the 5.2-kilometer Kumewu roads after President Akufo-Addo cut short for the project. Though contractors are currently on site, many are skeptical about the government's commitment to complete the project. Nana Ojima visited the constituency and has filed this report.
Roads Minister Kwesi Amoakwanta in October 2019 promised the people of Kumewu that funding for roads in the area had been secured. He promised the 5.2-kilometer road project would be completed by June 2020 at a cost of 12 million cedis. President Akufo-Addo subsequently moved to cut short for the project. I was here when the president came to cut short at the roundabout. He promised that the road would be fixed from Raso to Ejoso, but they refused to fix it. NPP came here, but the equipment were later carried from the site without any work done. The contractor have now moved equipment to site. Mr. Amoakwanta, who visited the site last week, gave reasons.
Kumewu roads have had a checkered history. Almost 3, 4, 5 years ago, we have awarded those roads twice, but we were disappointed, by the contractors who were giving those contracts. They couldn't execute them.
The road leading to Kumewu and other town roads are riddled with potholes, and several others are untarred. The death of Member of Parliament Philip Baswa has necessitated a by-election in the constituency. In the previous election, the New Patriotic Party recorded a drop in electoral fortunes in the area. Votes of the NPP in the parliamentary election declined from 21,000 in 2016 to 14,000 in 2020. Many see the party's fear of losing the seat as reason for the move to construct the Kumewu roads. I believe that the by-election is the reason for the urgency attached to the road construction. It is because of the by-election. The president once cut short for the road to be constructed, but they didn't. I think they will not fix the road. The equipment will disappear after the election. Since we will be voting for another MP soon, they have to do something. After the election, they can halt the construction. We have seen this several times. The NPP has, however, maintained the road construction is not linked to the by-election. Mr. Amoakwanta defends.
By-election will not move our government, our party, to go and start development project. Procurement will take not less than 6 to 8 weeks to do. So the fact that you have a contract, there's a contractor, and the contract has been signed and all, within these 2.5 weeks, means that it has been done already.
An independent parliamentary candidate, Kwekudia, came close to snatching the seat in the 2020 election, polling about 3,000 votes less than the winning candidate. Though he has shown interest in contesting the by-election, Mr. Dia has welcomed the road construction.
I don't think people are going to vote because of the road, but people are going to vote on the merits. Who would best represent our interests? Whom can we trust that will not abandon us, but will stick with us and bring development to the constituency? Such a person is whom we are going to vote for.
Until the road construction is completed, many remain skeptical about government's commitment to the Kumawu constituency. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
A trailer has run over 3 salon cars at Sokoban in the Ashanti region, leaving 1 person dead. And it's with the registration AS9456. He lost control of its brake, ran over 3 salon cars, mangling 2 of the cars. According to eyewitnesses, the vehicle, which was carrying a 40-foot container, was coming from Sokoban on the Ahunjo Trede Road. The deceased is identified as a male who was driving with his wife, who got injured. The woman and another person in a different car are receiving treatment at the Safweje Hospital. The assembly member of the Sokoban Durban area, Kojo Boateng, attributed the accident to the slow pace of road construction. According to him, it was dangerous, and he says they're even lucky it was a holiday. It would have been worse. And he says that's why they're asking the contractors to speed up the road construction. He says he doesn't think it would have been a problem if the dual road construction was completed. We take a break on Joy News Desk. We'll bring you business shortly.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Powell. Government has been criticized for the late payments made to fertilizer importing companies. According to Ranking Member on Parliament Select Committee on Food, Agric and Cocoa Affairs, Godfrey Seidu Jasso, this is among the factors that have led to shortages and increased prices of fertilizers on the market. Here's more in this report.
Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership, in collaboration with Feed the Future Policy Link, convened a roundtable discussion themed The Future of Fertilizer and Agro Inputs in Ghana towards the Soil Health Summit. Speaking at the roundtable, Ranking Member of Parliament Select Committee on Food, Agric and Cocoa Affairs, Godfrey Seidu Jasso, highlighted the unsung challenges facing the fertilizer industry.
What can we do to ensure that there is a favorable policy environment or economic environment for these businesses and private sectors to want to add more and invest more in the sector? I think that we've had a lot of the ups and downs. Various explanations have been given by government, and I saw all of you, almost all of you, laughing when we talked about the Russian-Ukraine war. It's been repeated and so on and so forth. But it's true, that's one of the factors. But there are other factors, of course, that are not often mentioned, and that is, has government, for example, our Ministry of Finance paid suppliers? You know, these are some of the questions. Once they don't pay and exchange rates escalate, the people have taken credit. So these suppliers have taken credits from the bank. So the exchange rate then erodes everything that they do. So it doesn't become a good business environment.
Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture, Yao Frimpong Ado, said combining both organic and inorganic fertilizers will reduce cost and improve soil health.
The soil health, if we are going to combine organic fertilizer with inorganic fertilizer to improve the soil health, then we need to do a lot more dialogues and discussions to find out exactly with the R&Ds, strong research and development institutions within the fertilizer subsector, that we may realize that we will not even need the kind of capital we say we want to we need before we set up some of these things.
Chief Executive of the African Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership, Michael Sudakasa, indicated stakeholders must be encouraged on the need to use specific fertilizers for the right soils. This, he said, will increase yields.
How do we replenish what is taken out of the soil is a focus on how do we first analyze the different soils that you find, again, multiple soil types in a given country. So we're using GIS technologies, we as industry, to find out what types of soil there is. We're using, there's a number of, some are NGOs, some are commercial entities that do soil testing. What that is leading us to also is to understand that different crops grow better in different soil.
The roundtable aimed to develop actionable and outcome-oriented strategies to address the challenges facing Ghana's fertilizer and agro-input markets.
Well, next to the Ashanti region, where the Asokwa District Court has granted a 4 million Ghana cedi bail to the acting managing director and operations manager of Kuyapa Cocoa Limited, Fatima Ali, and Abdullahi Mahama. They are standing trial over conspiracy to steal an alleged embezzlement of 8.6 million Ghana cedis belonging to the cocoa marketing company. The court, presided over by Justice Fred Obiture, ordered the two persons accused to present two sureties with one justification and also submit their travel passports to court. Emmanuel Bright Kwaku was in court and reports the two persons pleaded not guilty to the 22 charges leveled against them.
Accused persons have been charged with 11 conspiracies to steal and 11 counts of stealing from the coffers of Kuyapa Cocoa Limited for depot construction and port expenses when officers at these places have not requested for such works or received any amounts. Board Chairman and Acting Managing Director Fatima Ali and Operations Manager Abdullahi Mahama pleaded not guilty to the charges. The prosecution in their opening statement indicated Kuyapa Cocoa Limited since May 2022 has been in financial crisis, leading to the non-payment of commissions for purchasing clerks under the 2021-2022 cocoa season. The company has neither been able to purchase cocoa from its farmer members nor paid bonuses for the 2021-2022 cocoa season. But an audit into the financial crisis that befell the cocoa marketing company disclosed financial malfeasance which was spearheaded by the two accused persons. The audit report concluded that Fatima Ali and Abdullahi Mahama misappropriated a total of over 8.6 million Ghana cedis. Presiding Judge Justice Fred Obiture, premised on the alleged amount stolen, admitted the bail condition for the accused with justification. However, defense counsel prayed the court to grant cognizant bail as they assured the presence of the accused persons during hearings. This was rejected by prosecuting attorney Cecilia Enimapre-Pratechi, alluding to some accused persons in a similar case against acting managing director who have absconded. Meanwhile, in another case involving Kuyapa Cocoa Cooperative Cocoa Farmers and Marketing Union KKFU, Fatima Ali and one of three other accused persons have been granted a 1 million Ghana cedis bailout. The two are to present two sureties each, with one justification for the third accused person, Luke Entry, who is the accountant for the union. Fatima Ali and the three accused persons are in court for alleged siphoning of a premium of over 1.9 million Ghana cedis from the accounts of KKFU to Aya Legacy Limited, a company registered in the name of the fourth accused person, Bernard Yao Messenger, the administrator of KKFU. The court requested that the prosecution served the defense counsel the disclosed materials within 14 days before the next hearing. The two cases have been adjourned to 8th May 2023. For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright Kwaku reporting.
All right, that's it for business. And handing you back to Aisha. Aisha?
Definitely. That's how we wrap up the bulletin this morning. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.